to invest in medical research, to cure terrible diseases, to invest in entertainment, to ornament and enrich our lives, to invest in housing, or more to give to charity. If you think about someone, George Soros was mentioned earlier, he's a very interesting case. He earns a fabulous amount of money. I mean, $1 billion a year. It's almost twice my salary. It's a lot of money. So $1 billion a year. And he gives almost all of it away. In this case, his self-interest is helping other people. He invested $100 million in Sarajevo during the Yugoslav Civil War to build a water plant so people can have access to water without being murdered by insane, racist snipers who would shoot you if you went down to the river to get water. That was a very nice thing to do. He spent $200 million of his own money to hire Soviet nuclear physicists who were being paid about $40 a month to get them to do pure academic research, because he said, these people are hungry. They've been paid by the Soviet Union to create nuclear weapons. Soviet Union collapsed. What are they going to do? They're going to go work for Iran, North Korea, Libya, who are going to say, I'll give you $20,000 to come build a bomb, or $100,000. Well, he may have saved the future of the human race by giving these nuclear physicists an income, not building bombs for psychopathic dictators and fanatics. Well, that's a nice thing. So when he cuts costs, he's making it possible to do other things. In his case, giving to charity. In other case, maybe investing in some other enterprise to benefit the human race, like investing in medicine. So both Tom and Juan Seifel can now consume more apples. Despite the fact that Tom is the weaker party, the poorer party, he benefits also from this exchange. He still has a comparative advantage. And when we think about low, we're giving up less in order to achieve what we want. Now this has some interesting implications for the theory of international relations. You are probably acquainted with the thesis of Samuel Huntington, right, about the clash of civilizations. In my opinion, and I've read his book and some of his other writings, it's bunk. He has some interesting things to say. He's a very smart political scientist. But the fundamental thesis of the book is wrong, because he does not understand economics. And he's almost proud of the fact. I don't understand any economics, as though he'd like to get a medal for that. In fact, he doesn't understand this fundamental insight of economics about comparative advantage. He measures the influence of nations around the world by military power and control of territory. And since 1945, it's true that European military power, so the Western control of the planet, has receded. Malaysia became completely independent, self-governing. Indonesia became completely independent and self-governing, not ruled by foreign colonial powers. In his view, this shows a retreat for the West. The West lost. In my opinion, it was a good thing, and it was smart. The Dutch no longer send their children, their sons, to die in Indonesia fighting against independence fighters. If they want something from Indonesia, what do? They buy it. And they're better off. Has Dutch per capita income gone down since the collapse of the Dutch Empire? No. It's gone dramatically up. The richest countries in the world are often countries that had no colonial empires at all. What's the highest per capita income in Europe? What country? Anyone know?
Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. The huge, mighty Luxembourgish Empire. Straddling the globe with Luxembourgish colonial administrators. That never happened. They've done very well without an empire. Or the Danes. The Danes had an empire. It collapsed roughly in the 12th century. It's a long, long time ago. Since then, they've been fairly happy being Danes, living in their own country. The Huntington thesis sees if your nation advances, it comes at the expense of my nation. And I think it's a fundamental mistake. It does not understand the foundation of mutual benefit through trade. The Dutch were benefited by the loss of their empire, not harmed. Now, some Dutch colonial administrators were harmed. Same with the British Empire. As Richard Cobden, one of the great classical liberals, put it, he said the British Empire, the word for welfare state at the time was called outdoor relief. He said the British Empire is a vast system of outdoor relief for the unemployable sons of the British ruling class, who got to be governors of India and so on. But it was not to the benefit of the British people, who paid massive taxes to support the fleets and the armies to maintain the empire. If you're interested, there's a book by Davis and Huttenbach that demonstrates this quite effectively. The British Empire was a dramatic drain on the British economy during the period of its existence. Now, if you think about trade and harmony among nations, think again about economic nationalists, someone like the fellow I mentioned from CNN. He's always complaining whenever other countries prosper. Oh, the Chinese, they're getting richer. That must be bad. And even the poor Canadians. Really, who could be angry at the Canadians? They're up there in the cold north, shivering, clustered around the US border for warmth. They're nice. They're among the nicest people on the planet, Canadians. Very gentle, a little boring, but nice. He's always angry at the Canadians. Why? Well, if they do better. But the mentality is, if they do better, we must be doing worse. He doesn't understand what's good for them should be good for us. Americans should be happy if Canadians get more prosperous, not angry. And similarly, Americans, Malaysians, Russians, Kenyans should be happy that over 200 million people have been pulled out of abject poverty in India, in India also, but in China, in a relatively short period of time. Why is that? Well, Say's law of markets. Jean-Baptiste Say is a great French economist. And the Say's law of markets is famous to people who know about the history of economics. But it is almost always misquoted. Say did not say, but is often said to be Say's law. Supply creates its own demand. When I first heard about this, it was in an economics textbook in macroeconomics, and it was stated and then dismissed. The author, who was an old-fashioned dinosaur Keynesian, which is now getting a comeback, unfortunately, he said, well, Jean-Baptiste Say said, supply creates its own demand. Tom Palmer's footnote, Jean-Baptiste Say never said that. This is a misquotation.